Oh, there's beetles in my orchard. It's on now. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brian over here at the Little Orchard Farm. Man, I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. I'm back out here in the orchard today. A couple of videos ago, I was out here attempting to resolve my cedar rust problem. I've got, let's see, where's my little, here we go. Trying to resolve my cedar rust problem, right? I've got cedar rust in my orchard. So I was out here putting on my copper fungicide application, and I noticed that I had another small problem. And right here is my other problem. Those are Japanese beetles. And Japanese beetles come out for a couple of months to mate. And of course, I think we interrupted those that were mating there. For a couple of months, they mate. And in mating, they go into a feverish feeding frenzy. They go to nipping and tearing up your leaves on your fruit trees. And they particularly love apple leaves. And so they will devour a lot of your foliage. There's two predominant varieties here in the South, and one of them is the green Japanese beetle, very distinctive in its shiny green head. But there's a second kind that comes out and is nocturnal in nature, and that's the Chinese rose beetle. And the Chinese rose beetle feeds at night. It's about the same size, maybe a little smaller than the Japanese beetle, and it's kind of a reddish brown color. And so they are a little bit tougher to spot because obviously they're coming out at night. They do not like light, and so they will tend to burrow in around the surrounding foliage during the daytime hours and come out to feed in the evenings. And so I will come back out here this evening, early tomorrow morning, and take a look at my trees to see if I'm getting any Chinese rose beetle pressure here in the orchard. But today I'm going to attempt to begin to eradicate some of my Japanese beetles. And there's a number of ways that you can do that. There are certainly store-bought solutions that you can get at any of the big box stores that typically contain an ingredient called pyrethrin. And pyrethrin is essentially Japanese beetle killer. That's the stuff that you're going to find typically as the active ingredient in most off-the-shelf products designed to control this type of insect pressure. There's some other things that are out there as well that you can use that tend to address different stages of the Japanese beetle. Now, a Japanese beetle begins as a larva and a grub in the ground, and then they eventually come out, turn into the beautiful green beetles that you see, and then eat your orchard. But no, seriously, there are some applications that you can apply to the ground. One of them is the beneficial nematodes solution, where you spray that on the ground, and then that tends to kill all the grubs. But that you have to cover a pretty wide area if you're looking at a deal here like I've got here in my orchard to be effective. A couple of other things that you'll typically see in at least around in smaller areas is things like the Beetle Trap, the Japanese Beetle Traps. They are very highly effective in a smaller area. In an area the size of my orchard, I would have to put out several of those and hope that I would begin to make a dent in that infestation. Another solution is the milky spore. Milky spore is another. It is an effective solution where you are spraying that on trees. It's an organic solution, and it will certainly have an impact on your beetle population. Now, I don't have any of that today, but I do have the other two solutions that I am going to use. And the first one is neem oil. Neem oil will absolutely control your Japanese beetle and your Chinese rose beetles as well. Spray that on, and your beetles will not like to eat those leaves. I will do that as step 2. My step 1 solution is really quite simple. Dishwater soap in water, and you just go to catching them and dropping them into your solution. So it's more of a manual kind of process. But because Japanese beetles are not quick, you can pretty much walk right up on them. Here's a couple right here, and you can just grab them and throw them into your little jar. And before you know it, you're getting rid of them. And so I'm going to spend a few minutes out here and just kind of grab as many as I can grab. The important thing to note is that this is very temporary. Japanese beetles, again, they only come out for a couple of months and perform this type of activity on your orchard during the mating season. Otherwise, they're fairly, they're fairly harmless, essentially. But in these couple of months, June, July, August time frame, they can be fairly devastating on your foliage. They can absolutely strip it. To give you some idea of the type of damage that a Japanese beetle can do to your leaves, take a look at this one right here. This is the kind of stuff that your Japanese beetles will do. They will eat your leaves up. And so you definitely need to get a good control on them, or they will destroy the foliage on the leaves completely. Here is another great example of the type of damage that Japanese beetles can do to your foliage, to the leaves on your trees. Absolutely just eat them up. So I think I'm going to spend a few minutes and just try to catch a few of them by hand and drop them into my solution here, my soapy solution. And then I will come back after this passing shower that I think we've got moving in. I can feel it, man. I can feel it coming in. I'll come back after we have this shower, and I will throw a coat of neem oil solution on my trees, and that should do the trick. Well, all right, I made a pass through. Not a bad start. It's probably a couple of dozen. So I'll come back up here in a couple of hours and check again and just kind of keep an eye on them. It's no big deal to bring a small jar of soap water with me when I come up and attempt to do a little bit of thinning of the herd without using any sort of chemical on the trees. I really do want to attempt to make our orchard as organic and natural as possible without using ton of insecticides or things like that. Now, organic compounds or organic materials like the copper fungicide, I don't mind using that. But I would rather not use something that is detrimental to the beneficial insects, pollinators, and other animals, birds or whatever. I would rather do something as simple as let's grab the little buggers off the trees and let's get rid of them, and we'll keep going. Well, that's gonna do it. First round of Japanese Beetle Battle 1 is in the books. I don't know who won, but I know there's been a few losses. You guys have a wonderful week. Very blessed week. Until I see you again the next time, we will see ya. Wait! Quick update. Came back up early this morning after applying my neem oil application yesterday evening. I saw two Japanese beetles in the whole orchard. That's a success. Have a good one. See ya.